Harihi Om. A small analysis again on the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita on the name itself. So here in the last chapter again the Lord said that He would give salvation to everyone who would come to his refuge, leaving all the dharmas. So it is very clearly known to us that He assured us in the sloka of the 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja ahantra sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami masacha. So here He assured us that He would give salvation to anyone who would come to His refuge leaving all the other dharmas. So here what are the dharmas? And what are to be surrendered at His lotus feet. So already that we have understood. So whatever the actions we do, we perform actions, and the fruits of the actions, the thoughts, the motive behind the actions. So everything, whatever it is. So all these are to be surrendered at His lotus feet according to Him. And now here what happens when we surrender is we come out of the egoism with a feeling that we are doing the works or the actions as ordained by God, and we have nothing to do with its fruits. So this is understood on one side. And then again there is another thing that when we don't have the pride of egoism, that I did, so it's because of me all these works have been accomplished. So I am the root cause for the accomplishment, so these thoughts will disappear. So when in that place we come to the subtle thought that only because of God, the underlying power of God within us, who aroused all the thoughts in us, and it's only because of the thoughts that were aroused by Him, we put the thoughts into actions and we got the fruits. So in this way, when we feel that we are only the instruments in the hands of God, we surrender everything at His lotus feet and then we take refuge at His feet. So for such kind of people, He said He would give salvation. So all the dharmas, whatever it is. So right from the beginning of the career of His life to the end, what all He did, everything is to be surrendered at His lotus feet. So this is on one side. So it's very, then when we think deeply, then we understand that because of that Chaitanya in us, we are able to perform the actions, otherwise we cannot do anything. So because of the power of the Chaitanya in us that is traveling throughout each and every cell in our body, we are able to do the actions, perform the actions as ordained by Him. Now, in this chapter only, the name of the chapter is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Salvation means moksha. Now here why He named the chapter as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. So that if we try to analyze, what is the meaning of that? So here in the first case we understood that He is going to give us the salvation. Okay, let us take by the salvation, or He will give His darshan to us, or we will be able to realize Him. We will be able to realize that He is in us, and then first He is different, we are different, then we come that he and we are very close, then we come to a state that there is no difference between him and us. So it's the highest form of realization. Then we become a drashta, just simply watching what is happening, and we don't bother about anything. So whatever happens, let it happen, because everything happens on the will of God. And we are only as spectators, doing our duties as ordained by Him. Now He is telling us that salvation also must be surrendered to Him. Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. So this is to be understood. So that means what I got into my mind, I am just presenting. That means how to take the meaning of this Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. The subtle form of human beings who get the salvation. So here there are so many sages, right from the Treta Yuga also, who got the salvation. But then here, everything they surrendered. So they became so noble. They became so subtle. And to surrender everything also, one must get rid of the egoism. So they surrendered and they got the salvation. Here lies another point. They got the salvation, but still the feeling of I is there. I, the nobility. So because of my sublimity, because of my subtlety, because of my nobleness, because of my extreme surrender to Him, everything, that's why He gave the salvation to us. That means He gave the moksha. So the pride of subtlety, that's what He said. So moksha sannyasa yoga, in that yoga He said that the pride of subtlety of the monks or sannyasis or whoever it is, not only they, anyone can have that salvation. They will have the pride of subtlety because. So the cause for their salvation, what they feel is because of their subtlety only they got the salvation given by the Lord. Otherwise He would not have given. So here the Lord says that the pride of subtlety also must vanish from the people who got the salvation. People or sages or saints, whoever they are. That is, it is something that fills the mind, totally occupies the mind without being aware of the pride of subtlety. So here even if we take for an example, Durvas Mahamuni, he was a very great sage. So when we take Vasishtha Mahamuni, he was Brahma Rishi and he was the most subtle sage, and he never had the pride of subtlety also. So he was a Brahma Rishi. But then when you come to Narad Maharishi, again he had the pride of subtlety. He always thought that I am so subtle that I always utter the name of Lord Narayana, always, without a gap of even a second. So So unknowingly he had the pride of subtlety. So many a time he questioned the Lord that who was the greatest devotee for him. If he had no pride of subtlety, he would not have questioned the Lord like that. When he had confidence on himself that he surrendered everything and everything is happening on the will of God, he surrenders the pride of subtlety also. Then the question of asking the God to discriminate who was the greatest devotee doesn't arise. But so many times it arose in his mind. Now when we come to Durvas Mahamuni, he was also a very great saint, very great sage, Muni. But he had the pride of subtlety. The pride of subtlety in him was so great, that so much, that at one stage he also touched the heart of the Lord of Lords, Sri Mahavishnu, with his leg, just because he did not give response. And that paved a way, okay, whatever it is, that paved a way to the Kali Yuga Daiva, Lord Venkateshwara. That is another point. But here, when people have the pride of subtlety in them, anybody who gets the salvation. So the Lord of Lords says that is not salvation to 100%. Because when whatever the reason is, if one has a pride, that pride itself again, it will grow. Again it will grow bigger and bigger. And there is every possibility that again he will be ruined. So here if we take an example of Narad Mahamuni, also when he asked who was the greatest devotee, and because then the Lord said that there was one farmer who was the greatest devotee for him. So then he asked, why then I am all the time thinking about you only, I am uttering your name, how can you say that he is the greatest devotee? Then he said, okay, you go and check what he does. So despite performing all the duties and responsibilities that were ordained by him, he thinks of the Lord whenever there is time. So Narad Mahamuni's duty is only to think of God, utter the name of God. So then he said, then he understood the real devotion and devotion of a devotee. So like that, the pride of subtlety, sometimes it will, when it fills the subconscious mind, though the conscious mind they may say that they don't have any pride, but the subconscious mind will always be after that. And then automatically there is no way for them to come out of that I feeling. When one reaches the heights, they will have the I feeling. It's because of my hard work or my thoughts, my commitment that I could gain this one. I could reach such heights. In the same way, the sages also. Here, I would like to quote one sloka. One saint or a sage, he used to go to Meenakshi temple every day, climbing all the steps in Madurai. So right from his childhood he was so much used to climb all the steps and go to the temple, have the darshan of the goddess. and then come down again and have his pious food. But then a time came when he could not climb the steps. He was aged. But his principle was not to take anything, without having the darshan of the goddess. So at such stage, what happened? He prayed to the goddess that if he doesn't have the darshan of her, he would not take even one spoon of water also. As he was lamenting like that, suddenly he got the divine darshan of the goddess. At his own puja place. He was so much surprised and he was so much excited. Then he got the blessings of the divine goddess, and she said that he need not come to the temple or climbing all the steps since he became old. And also she said that she would give, since she had given the darshan of him in the house itself, in the temple, so that his house itself is the temple of the goddess. And she dwells there. Then tears rolled down his cheeks, and he did not know how to show the gratitude to the goddess. There were no words for him to show the gratitude. Then he remembered everything. So right from his childhood, what all he did. He washed the steps with water. He put that kumkum to all the steps. At the time of climbing each step, he used to utter the goddess's name, the Namasmaranam. He used to take the Rudraksha and say the Namam. Rudraksha with 108 beats, he used to chant every day. He used to put that vibhuti on his face, on his forehead. Then the most subtle and the most surrendering what he had in his mind, that sloka, what he said is, simply he said, he is very grateful, first not for the goddess. See, for what he is grateful. Not for the goddess, for the steps that paved a way for him to climb and reach the shrine of the goddess. The Rudraksha beads with which he uttered the Namasmaranam, chanting of the goddess name whenever time permitted him. The vibhuti which he smeared on his forehead, that made his mind so pious. The kumkum which he put in the middle of his two eyebrows. So then that kamandalam which he used to take water and say that mantras, Kesava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, like that. The water, kamandalam is there, but if there is no water, the Meenakshi goddess is there, but if there are no steps to go up, how he can have? So he said that sloka, just one line I see. भस्मान्दोलन भद्रमस्तु भवते रुद्राक्षमाले शुभे आसोपान परम्परे गिरिसुतान्त्यालयालङ्कृते. So like that, Antyalayalankrute. So by climbing all the steps, maybe 100 or 1000, whatever it is, he climbed all the steps and reached the shrine of the goddess. So then he said, I am grateful to all of you. I am grateful to everything because nothing is mine. Kamandala is not mine. The water is not mine. Some other person made the Kamandalam. Some other person made the Rudraksha. Some other person made the Vibhudi. So to each and everything created by God, he showed the gratitude. And finally he said, I have nothing to do with the salvation. It is because of all of these I could come to this stage. If these are not there, I would not have come. So, nothing is mine. Everything is yours, O Goddess. I am just an instrument in your hands. And led my life as ordained by you. Tears rolled down his cheeks, that they went and touched the pious feet of the goddess, and he merged in her. So he came out from the cycle of birth and death. He got the salvation. So he did not have pride in him. He did not have the pride of having the darshan. He did not have the pride of having the salvation. So this is what the Lord insisted. If once they have a pride of salvation also, there is every possibility for them to come again into the world and lead this life. Because once they had the pride of salvation, that means they have the name and fame. So they are not bothered about that also. Just a drashta. So that is what the Lord meant by this last chapter, meaning Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. So, to renounce the moksha also and surrender at his lotus feet and come out of the pride of subtlety, and he would get the permanent place at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the final abode. So, Harihi Om.